Rooster Tail Talk, the podcast dedicated to everything about the sport that we all love, hydroplane racing. I am your host, David Newton, and it's time once again, so sit back, relax, and welcome Rooster Tail Talk. Hello, race fans, and once again, welcome back to the podcast. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026, and this is episode 194. Now, for today's episode, I actually went over and toured in person the Richards Racing GP shop. They house two Grand Prix hydroplanes there. It's a two-boat race team, and that's including the GP17 Miss Renee, as well as the GP10, the Freak. And I got a chance to sit down in the office and chat with the GP10, the Freak's driver, Kevin Eacret. And Kevin is no stranger to hydroplane racing. He's been in the sport a long time. He's raced many inboard classes over the years, including Unlimited Lights and 2.5, 5 liters. Lately, he's been racing Grand Prix, and he's a former Unlimited hydroplane racer. He had a lot of great stories to share, and we actually sat down for about an hour and a half and hashed some stories out, which was really fun to do, and just love hearing those stories come out for you. And this is actually going to be another 3-part interview where we're going to be episodes 194, 5, and 6. The first episode today, we're going to talk more about his background and the years he was racing Unlimited, and the following 2 episodes are going to be more focused around Grand Prix racing. He's a great guy and great passion for the sport, a hard worker, dedicated person all around. So I think you're going to enjoy hearing Kevin talk a little bit about himself and a lot about the sport of hydroplane racing. I think that's enough of an intro. So let's get into my chat with Kevin Eacret. Well, I'm sitting down in the office, sitting across from Kevin Eacret up in Monroe at the headquarters for Richards Racing. Kevin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, had a nice week off after Seafair. You've had a long summer already.
I have. As a matter of fact, after Seafair, this is my first weekend back in the shop since Seafair. I had to take a week off, take a week to myself. I do drive the truck and pull the boat around, so yeah, 4 races and 5 weekends is a lot, and I had to take a weekend off.
Yeah. Not only it was all across the country and up in Canada, so yeah, it's a well-deserved week off.
I thought so.
Did you do anything special for your week off, or just?
I did. I held the couch in place and made sure it didn't slide across the living room floor.
Good.
Made sure that the dog had company sitting on the couch, and just got my mental and physical mind back in a personal mindset. Long time away from the house, and after 5 weeks, 6 weeks on the road, and you put the math together and you've been in your bed for 5, 6 nights. Yeah, I get to a point. I shut my phone off. I got rid of my car keys. I didn't leave the house. I didn't answer phone calls. I just recuperated.
Nice. Yeah, we all need that every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm glad to be sitting down talking with you about hydroplane racing. And before we kind of jump in, because you've been an Unlimited racer, you've driven Grand Prix now, all different kind of classes. I want to know, where did this start for you? How did you get first involved with hydroplane racing?
I first got involved with hydroplane racing as my father was a volunteer for Seafair. My mother was a volunteer for Seafair. And I was that little punk kid that was sneaking on the boat because I was too young to actually supposed to be in the pits. But there were a shore patrol and a course boat. So as soon as we left the dock, then I was able to show my face, and got older, ended up taking charge of captaining the patrol boat and the course boats. And eventually we got asked to come to a small Region 10 event, and went out, and we were going to be a course boat for them, just to stand by, another help boat on the water. And well, lo and behold, hey, you can buy that boat right there. Well, really? A good deal on the boat. Got it from Phyllis Pascanucci. It was the S6, Miss Breezy. And so she allowed me to drive the boat at a race or two. I enjoyed driving the boat and figured this is something I want to do. We ended up purchasing the stock 4-cylinder boat. Ran that for about half a year. I want to go faster, needed something bigger. So we got a 5-liter boat and drove that for quite a while and did all right. I didn't have the equipment other people had, but I was a constant podium finisher, enough to be a menace. And then people started asking me to drive their boats for them. So that's kind of what transpired from there. Just,
Yeah.
Well,
you're doing something right when you're being asked to drive other people's boats, right?
Well, right. Or you got a couple screws loose, one or the other, right? They liked the, I wanted to race. I wanted to go fast, and I always done more with lesser equipment. So as time went on and people start offering better equipment for you to drive, then obviously your track record gets a little better and better. So,
yeah. Well, yeah. So with that, did you want to be a racer for like Unlimiteds and Grand Prix, or was it you just wanted to race and be involved, and it kind of just fell into place?
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to race. I didn't care what it was, a bicycle, motorcycle. And so I started off in racing. And then, obviously, if you get into racing, you're driving a stock 4-cylinder boat, you would like to move to a 5-liter. In 5-liter, you want to go National Mod, Grand Prix, which I did those. And eventually got the call to, help put an Unlimited on the water, and, drove the Unlimited for a while. And so, you just kind of a luck of the draw, it's who you know and who you've helped and who's going to help you throughout the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it definitely is that case. It's definitely who you know and who you get to know, because there's so few seats in Grand Prix and Unlimiteds that you're able to make your path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was your favorite, other than Unlimiteds and Grand Prix, what was your favorite class that you raced?
I'd say my 2.5 modified that I ran was a fun class because I drove that after the Unlimited. And the 2.5 modified was so light and nimble, just a quick, fun, felt like I was in a little go-kart or something. So, it was a fun, easy class to drive, and you still got great speed behind you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to talk about your Unlimited years here for a little bit, and we're definitely going to talk about Grand Prix after that. But back in 2015, you're named the driver of the U100 Car Star. It was originally one of those Fred Leland boats. He built so many, I can't remember which one that was.
Yeah, I want to say 98 100 or something like that. Even being in the shop, you're right. He had so many different hulls that I don't. Jim Labrie is the master when it comes to knowing what hull was what when it comes from the Leland.
I'll have to ask him
exactly.
when I see him next
He'll
time.
be able to set people straight.
All right. Well, how did that transpire? You got to there. Unfortunately, it was a few years after Fred passed away.
It was. Stacy was running the boat, and she went through a couple drivers and went through some crew guys, and I ended up getting the phone call and seeing if I could put together a crew enough to run an Unlimited boat. And I was working and helping Scotty Pierce at that point in time. I think I just got done driving Scotty Pierce's boat because I worked for Scott Pierce for 10, 12 years running Cabo Marine.
Yeah, okay.
And so, after a while you bump heads, and we had our issues, and one thing led to another. I wasn't going to drive his boat anymore. All right, fine. And it was the year later, I got the phone call asking if I'd be interested in trying to do the Unlimited boat. Well, that's every boat driver's dream, is to drive an Unlimited at one point in time. And so I remember Steve David told me back in the day, it doesn't matter what ride you get. If you have a chance to get a ride, you take it. And I did so. And, we did good. We helped a Pyro, could not have done it without Pyro and the U11 team. I mean, I didn't know a single thing about a turbine engine.
Yeah.
So he would take time away from his team to help make sure that our team was going to start and run. Obviously they always wanted a boat count and they needed the boat. And a lot of people just counted the Leland team out, and we came out, and first year we started and finished every heat that we did. Got a heat win in Detroit because just playing our own game, other guys jumped, and, that's the way it stands, and, carried it on. And I worked on getting sponsorship throughout CarStar, and CarStar came along, and KISW came along, and allowed us to keep performing to the best of our abilities. We were a young, unlimited team. They're a lot different than anything from 2.5 to a GP. The shape's the same.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing's the same about them is
bigger.
the shape.
Yeah.
Everything is bigger, more work, more material, more manpower.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was quite the eye-opener.
Yeah. And if I recall, at that time, there wasn't many people on the team. Was it hard to get people banded together to form that team, or did you have some friends that were already working with that you could kind of just pull to it?
I had some good friends that I've worked with over the years, and we pulled people together and yeah, we were a small, young team that the guys had different unlimited experience. I know Jay Strowski and Craig Norton, they came along and helped us out the first couple years, and they were at least on other unlimited teams to begin with. Ben Rice was a big part of that. He was on another unlimited team. And so he came along. The first year we put the boat on the water, Ben Rice was actually the crew chief. So it came a lot of people that had a little bit of unlimited experience, but in the same aspect, none of us has been in charge of putting one on the water by ourselves. So it was a good band of friendship and people coming together, and even the help from other teams helping. Yeah. So it was a good time.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest lesson was year one? Because I think, if I'm getting it right, I think you were soaking in so much from different teams and just that whole experience. What lesson do you think you had from that first year running that unlimited team?
The biggest lesson is you have to come together as a team. Before then, I was always a small boat. I had control over everything. And then when you get into something like that, the biggest lesson is you got to trust your team and the guys that you have working for you, because with everything going on, you cannot oversee everything and drive the boat. And so with that being said, I had to trust the Jimmy James and the Ben Rices and people that I had helping. The beginning years of the unlimited boat is when Jimmy James came walking through the door, wanted to help, which many people did at the Leland shop. He used to help Fred many years ago, and it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, and they would come and leave. And Jimmy came in and he wanted to help, and he was serious about helping, and well, here we are, And he's still 11 years later, me and Jimmy, he's my buddy, man. Yeah. We are side by side, we're locked together, and yeah, we made a great team out of it.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, the following year, I believe in 2016, you had the KISW The Rock return to sponsoring hydroplane. It was a few years they were out of the sport.
I think it was 10 or 12 years they were out of the sport.
Yeah, it was at least a decade.
Yes.
How exciting was that to get the fan favorite local sponsor back into the sport? Because it wasn't a big sponsor, but locally it was a favorite of the fans.
It was a fan favorite, and it was very exciting to me. KISW came on board through the CarStar Corporation.
Oh, okay.
So all of our sponsorship came from the CarStar, but CarStar in return found a way to help them out to where their sponsorship actually came into an advertising and sponsorship. So they're actually the ones that asked if they can name the boat, does it have to be CarStar? And I'm like, no, we can name the boat anything you want. Yeah. They're like, well, what if we named it the Miss Rock? Because the first year I ran the boat is the U100. Not a problem. We can do that. Well, we were getting the boat ready. We repainted it all in the black, yellow, and red, kind of a throwback to the old school days. And that's what they wanted. That's what CarStar and them off, Well, I'm like, man, all black. That's going to get hot. They've done it before. You know what? I'm willing to do it again. Yeah. So that's a point in time where you say yes, sir, to the sponsorship and get what you can get. So we painted the boat black, and we're getting ready to head out to Madison, and the KISW sponsorship came, and I'm like, well, I need to register the boat, and we're going to register it as the 99.9. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, we're going to go to Madison, and people are going to figure out that KISW is back.
Yeah.
They're like, well, let's just see how it works. I'm like, not a problem. So we just had the 99.9 on the boat and left the Leland shop in Kirkland. And that boat wasn't even across the pass yet. And I was getting phone calls from CarStar and KISW from people calling in and saw the boat, asking what's going on with the sponsorship and are you sponsoring a boat again and this and that. And so the go-aheads from KISW is like, well, you might as well put the name on the boat and we're going to come out and say we're sponsoring a boat again. And it worked out really well because now we're months before Seafair and KISW started talking about the hydroplane that's going to be coming back and racing in Seattle and the fanfare and the fan favorites and people remembering the boat. Me as one, I remember back in the mid-'80s, they let you sign the bottom of the boat.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got pictures of me standing down at Seafair as a little kid, pointing to my signature, my tube socks pulled up to my knees, and, it was the thing back then.
Yeah, you paid $1, got to sign the bottom.
Yeah, now I actually had a chance to drive the KISW boat. And, it was phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. I think I remember you had an interview, I think back then, was with BJ Shea.
Yeah.
On the radio.
Yeah. I was on the BJ Shea show twice, and I was on the men's room show twice.
Oh, okay.
So
I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, show up in the morning. Morning show was great. The men's room was great because they do the shot of the day every day, and people are like, "Do they really do the shot of the day?"
Oh yeah, they do.
I'm here to tell you, we did the shot of the day. So yeah, no, it was a good time.
Yeah, fun. Well, that's some of the fun stuff you look back on, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
To do
some of the stuff people call work, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is awesome." I get to go on the radio show that I listen to every day.
Right.
So yeah, it worked out.
Yeah. Well, in the following year, I believe you had the St. Pete scheme in KSW sponsoring you.
I did.
And Detroit, I think, was later in that season.
It was Detroit. I had a mishap.
Yeah, there was a little mishap there. Pretty spectacular flip looking back on it now.
Thankfully, yeah, absolutely.
You were okay. It happened right in front of the DYC.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk me through what happened, like what you remember of that flip?
Well, I remember.
And was that your first flip you were a part of?
That was my first time in an unlimited flip.
Okay.
I blew a 5-liter over back in the day. So I had gone over once in a boat already.
Okay.
But the flip was kind of a fluke situation. I didn't figure there was any way the boat was going to take off. I was running in third place. I knew there was nobody behind me, and I wasn't going to catch the front two boats. So I wasn't even flat-footed. I wasn't even, I was saving my equipment.
Yeah.
I remember hitting a roller coming off the yacht club, and the boat came up and dropped like a rock. It slammed the water hard, and I was like, ow. Hit another roller, it came off the yacht club, and it came up and did the same thing, and I was waiting for it to come back down, and it just kept lifting and going over, and I remember the first thought in my head is, you gotta be kidding me. And I did the first rotation, I saw the water come around, I saw the shoreline coming back up, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna land this. And right as about the time the thing leveled out, I remember looking out my right side capsule window, and I was still looking over the top of sailboat mast, and I knew at that point in time this was gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And but going back and watching videos, it looks like we took on a bunch of water into the boat, which you see a turn or two before I hit. If you watch the rear camera off the rear wing, you'll see massive amounts of water when I'd hit the turn come out of the belly pan of the boat. Okay. So I don't know if it was a shaft seal or a water line or something. Don't even know if the water had something to do with it. But I do know that you have a bunch of water in your boat, it throws the balance off, and funny things can happen. So was that part of the blowover? Maybe. The boat was set up in pretty safety mode at that point in time, and I wasn't even flat-footed. So was it driver error? 50% of the time it is. Maybe 70% of the time it's driver error. Was I not on the wing quick enough? That's a very good possibility. I kind of had my guard down, which taught me a very valuable lesson that even if you're flat-footed or not, stuff can happen.
Yeah.
So, watch yourself. And maybe I did let the boat get in front of me and I didn't have a chance to save it. There, absolute possibility. Water in the boat, very good possibility,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm surprised it went over. It shocked me.
Yeah.
Made for great photos. And I mean, I made the cover of the Detroit Yacht Club magazine and,
Yeah.
had killer videos coming of it. And, I'll still show them to this day. I mean, I did it. I own it. A lot of people will make excuses. I'm right here telling you 60-80% was probably my fault. Could something that contributed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It happened. I own it.
Was that your last time in an unlimited?
No. Actually, the O'Farrell family, when they were building the new boat that they have now.
Oh, yes.
They had me go to Tri-Cities, and I drove the 21, which is now the 40, the U40.
Yep.
I drove the 21 boat and did some test laps in that. Did very well because the following weekend, had we got the boat finished, I was supposed to drive their new boat at Seafair. And so, no, the O'Farrells gave me another chance to get back in a boat, and we were going to do it. And then they ended up selling one boat. Yeah. That boat didn't get done, selling another boat. And it's luck of the cards, Now Gunner's old enough to drive.
Yeah.
And very happy for him. I think they're a great family, and, Yeah.
All right. So what after that didn't fall into place?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to stop racing unlimiteds?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you enjoying the podcast and want to show your support? Well, now you can with Roostertail Talk Plus. This is a new subscribing service for our podcast where you can sign up for a monthly fee and help us to create and grow more content for Roostertail Talk. If you subscribe today, you'll get chances for monthly raffle prizes, extra content, early release to new episodes, as well as much, much more. This is a new service, and we'll be adding more to it as we move along, but your support is appreciated. As you can imagine, running a podcast can be pricey as costs increase for hosting fees, website fees, travel, equipment, and much more. With your support, you can help make sure we have new content coming to you every week and make this a better place for talking about hydroplane racing. You can find the link to be a subscriber in the bio of the episode, as well as on our website, roostertailtalk.com.
Please support the show.
They're a lot of work, and I wouldn't say I stopped racing unlimiteds. That was, unlimiteds have very few seat times.
Yeah, they do.
And so at that point in time, I was still very involved with racing. I would still help Scotty Pierce quite a bit while Jamie was driving the boat, and I was still working at Cabo. I helped the GP20 team quite a bit, getting their boat put back together, and just trying to be a crew member, helping them out when I wasn't on a crew. And I had a lot of fun just crewing for a while, learn a lot and show what I have learned over the years. And once you start driving, you always in the back of the head, you want to drive.
Yeah,
so, that was kind of the motivation to put you back in the seat somewhere.
Right. Well, I think before then, and up till now, you've been racing Grand Prix. And have a really fast boat right now, but I want to talk a little bit more about your history with Grand Prix. And you said for some time you worked with Scott Pierce.
Yep.
Especially with Cabo Marine, and might not have, like you said, you butted heads sometimes. But what did it mean though to work with Scott, someone who had a rich history of racing, who was a very large personality with himself?
That was a very good time in my life. I remember getting the phone call. I've done a lot of paint work for the Hop team over the years, and the Hops are they help get Scotty Pierce involved back into boat racing. Scott, when he drove the Unlimited, he took a hiatus and went to sprint car racing for a while, which a lot of people don't know. And then he came back and bought a GP boat. And that's right when the GP boats were coming back in the Pacific Northwest. Before then, we had an organization called the ULHRA.
Right.
Same but different. They still had a blower package for their engine, but they'd only let you run your blowers at 80%.
Okay.
So when the GPs came back, they're going back to the original APBA rules, and APBA says you can run your engine 20% over. So now we're running the blowers at 120%. And so Scott Pierce was my first guy to let me drive a GP boat. I was working for him. He first got a hold of me to come paint his hydroplane. I came and painted his hydroplane because I'm an automotive painter by trade. And he loved the paint job I put on his boat. And then he asked me if I could do fiberglass work. And I told him, well, I own a race boat. I can't afford to let other people fix my boat. Yes, I can do fiberglass work. This comes in part of being a body man painter.
Yeah.
Well, he asked me if I wanted a job. I was in between jobs. Yeah, this is great. I've always had a love for boats. And so I started working at Cabo Marine, helping get the boat together. And Scott was driving. He put himself back in the seat, and he realized these GP boats are a handful.
Yeah.
And so he's actually the one to give me my shot in a GP boat. You know, hey, maybe you should drive. I'd love to drive. You know, I've driven the blower UL boats. This will be great.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at the power difference. Well, the UL boat I drove is UL 11. Very thankful for the ride from Darren and Mary Bartels. But as an older boat, a wood boat, running the UL setup, to me, coming from a 5-liter to the UL boat, this is phenomenal. This is fast. This is powerful. Going from a UL boat to a GP boat, it felt like the same difference, 5-liter to unlimited light, you know, just the power difference. And Scotty had a really nice boat, all carbon fiber boat, good equipment, you know, it was a nice light boat. So it was a great experience. And I drove for Scott for quite a few years. You know, at first, me and Scotty would switch off back and forth in the driver's seat. And I believe it was Huey Newport that had a talk with Scotty Pierce and was like, told Scotty that, you know, Scott, I think you need to just leave the kid in the boat, right? We're seeing a difference here. So, yeah, Scott gave me my chance. I drove and worked for Scott for many of years. And his wife, Sue. I was like Scott's illegitimate son. And yeah, we would, you know, you'd talk to Sue, and yeah, there would be times I ran Scott's shop, and Scott was very bullheaded. I'm very bullheaded, and we're both very outspoken. Well, sometimes we didn't agree with each other. The only thing we would agree on is only one of us is going to be in the shop. And I'd give him the ultimatum a few times. Look, either you're going to leave the shop or I'm going to leave the shop. One or the other, one of us are leaving.
Yeah.
Well, Scott's shop was in his backyard, so Scott would grab his stuff and he'd go inside the house. After a while, Sue's trying to figure out why Scott's in the house, and he'd look at Sue and I can't go into the shop. Whoa! So, yeah, Sue thought it was great. She'd come out and tell me all the time that I'm about the only person that's ever kicked Scott out of his shop, and he's listened to.
And he's listened to.
And he listened to. Well, but I think the part of that was I tried to do a very good job for him. Yeah. And Scott knew that it's more profitable for me to be in the shop than it is for him to be in the shop.
Yeah.
I kept the guys rolling, kept them going in the right direction. And, you know, I would like to say I helped bring Cabo Marine, because they were just starting. They were, you know, a few years under their belt, 4 or 5 years under their belt. And I like to believe I brought Cabo Marine to the next level in quality, and, you know, started taking off really well, doing really nice things, working on really, really nice boats. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah. And you won Rookie of the Year that year you raced it, correct?
Yeah, I did.
First year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year in the GP class that year, because it was the first year I was in a GP full time. And it's funny because they call you a rookie, but I think I've got, I don't know, 10 or 12 Rookie of the Year trophies in the office. You know, I got Rookie of the Year in the 2.5 class, in the 5-liter, and unlimited light. Got Rookie of the Year for the unlimiteds, you know.
Right.
So it's like, at what point are you no longer a rookie? I guess if you're new to the class, you become a rookie, but, you know. Okay. Yeah, that's one of those, I kind of grin and smile.
Yeah.
You know, I think the Rookie of the Year belongs to that guy for his first year in boat racing.
Right.
But I'm very grateful for, being recognized.
Yeah.
I guess would be the best way to put it.
Yeah. How could you sum up, like in a sentence, your time with Scott Pierce racing for him in GPs?
Exceptional.
Yeah, I'm sure he had a lot of great insight for you. I mean, he had many years of racing hydroplanes.
He had definitely many years of racing hydroplanes, and in the same aspect that was kind of a hindrance sometimes, because a lot of times Scotty would look at you and the Scotty Pierce would come out in him, and it was nope, I'm wrong, right, you're wrong, this isn't the way it works.
Yeah.
And sometimes it took a little bit of coercing to get Scott to see your side. But if somebody else saw what you were seeing, then he would agree altogether. So, but no, it's an exceptional time. I learned a lot, and yeah, it is something I don't ever regret.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, listeners, once again, that's all the time we have for this week. I really hope you enjoyed part 1 of my interview with Kevin Eacret. Make sure you come back next week for part 2, as we're going to dig a little bit more into his years around Grand Prix hydroplane racing. In the meantime, check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And we're also online with our website, www.roostertailtalk.com. Well, that's all I got for you this week. So make sure you come back next week. And until then, I hope to see you at the races.